Broad steps. Add validation in an HTML form.
Add a working contact to your website by integrating these broad steps. Open the contact.html file. Create separate script file. Add JavaScript file to contact.html file. Add JavaScript functions to your HTML from elements. Add required code in the contact.html file. Save and reload on the browser. In the previous tutorial, you learned how to create a fully functional multiple-page website. If you revisit your website and try out the contact form you had created, you will find that clicking buttons on the form will have no effect. Surprised? Well, don't lose hope just yet. There is a way to redeem your form. Designing the web form itself is not enough. You will need to add dynamic elements to it using JavaScript. Let's get started. So, here I have a general contact us form, common on most sites. I have covered a few field types including the name, phone, email, and a comment fields. Previously, I had created this document using straightforward HTML tags and used a little CSS to create an attractive looking form. Today, I'm going to modify this form by adding some JavaScript to it. Adding JavaScript functions to HTML form elements is quite easy. To make things easier for you, I have highlighted the JavaScript functions so that you can apply them in almost the same way. So, here goes the first script to improve my sign-up form. Between the opening and the closing script tag lies a single function called validate that itself calls up 3 other functions to validate each of the form's input fields. I have also added a conditional statement which will result in the pop-up message showing the error. Each form has a JavaScript event called onSubmit that is triggered when its submit button is clicked. If this event returns 0, then the form cannot be submitted, and if it returns 1, it will always be submitted. Moving on. Now, I'm going to start with the actual form field validation. I make a separate script file, script.js, and save it. Before I start writing the script, I append it to the contact.html file. Let's go through each function turn by turn so you can see how validation works. Starting with validate name. The first thing I want to check is that the name was at least filled out. The error will be returned only if the name supplied was an empty string. At this point, an alert, "No name was entered," will be sent to the user. Next is the mobile number field. Here, I want to check that the mobile number field was at least filled out. I also want to restrict the number of characters a user can enter in this field. One of the other requirements I am imposing on the mobile number is that all the data is numerical. The script here checks the mobile number field on all these parameters, sending an error message if either function returns false. Now, I am going to validate an entered email address, which means email address must contain at least an @ or a dot. This is how the script works. After checking whether anything was actually entered, the function calls the JavaScript index of function twice. The first time, a check is made to ensure there is a period. And the second checks that an @ symbol appears. Now, I have plugged in the script to check that all the fields have content, ensuring that email addresses conforms to the proper format and warranting that values entered are within expected bounds. Let's reload the file and check out the fully functional form.